G.
Welcome to J.R. Hendrick Texan Consort, the story of the early life of J.R. Hendrick. Now, improvising is your host, Jimmy Hendrick. At 2 p.m. on Sunday, Darren took Jimmy and J.R. back to Texas Tech University. 4 p.m. Eastern. Jim is sitting in his lounge of his Great Falls mansion, watching TV with his wife, Betsy. 4 p.m. Central Time. J.R. arrives back at Texas Tech University at Gordon Hall. He rushes into his suite, into his room, and props himself on the bed. "Man, what's wrong?" Kevin McDonald asked. "Brad," J.R. said. "Man, seriously, ditch Brad," Kevin said. Just then, J.R.'s cell phone rang. It was Jennifer Bowers. "You want to go out tonight? There's dinner at the Spirit Club and the Sunday evening devotional." "Sure," J.R. said. "I'll be ready. Meet you there at 6. 6 p.m. Eastern. Jim and Betsy are having dinner once again with their church pastor. Having a decently good time. 6 p.m. Central. Jim and Jennifer are having dinner at the Spirit Club. Dinner is soft steak tacos with a choice of soda or tea. Jim and Jennifer both got sweet iced tea. The 21st of March passed by quietly. At 11 a.m. on the 22nd, J.R. walks out of the geology building at Texas Tech and is accosted by Brad. "I've been hearing stories how you skipped geology class the past few weeks. What's wrong with you?" "Stay out of my school life, Brad," J.R. said angrily. "By the way, I will be going to home group on Thursday, but Darren is taking me to the Bible study." He heads back to Gordon Hall. Kevin McDonald stops Brad. "Hope you feel happy with yourself." "Why is that?" "I'm telling you now. Leave JR alone. Stop with this attitude." JR goes back into his dorm and the Andrew House show goes on. Whoops. I received a letter today from Jim Hendrick, the new press director for the SBA. He says this: "There are some diplomats that seem to have this hyper-communist view on how to deal with business. I dismiss them and their behavior because, quite frankly, it is a big, huge problem that I see in this country." And so he states that he feels like he will be finished with government service once Clinton is done with him, which is sad. 2 p.m. JR is studying in his room when his grandmother calls to ask him to meet her in the Sneed snack bar. He rushes over to the snack bar and sits down. His grandmother had already ordered him a Dr. Pepper. "Sit down, JR. Sit down, Junior." "What's up, Grandma?" I've been hearing stories about how the couple of days other than class, you're just laying around moping. Now, you listen to me. You're going to church Sunday. Grandma, I already got the spirit club. That's enough. Now, Grandma, I already have the spirit club. That's enough. Now, don't give me this now, Grandma. You are going to church. Yes, ma'am. Now, I've called Aunt Francine and Bill Kennedy will be by Sunday morning around 10 to take you to church. You're going. Yes, ma'am, Gerald said. You are a Swain gentleman, Junior. And that means a Swain gentleman goes to a Baptist church. It's 5 p.m. JR is watching the Blake Carter show when Blake makes this pronouncement. Today I want to speak about Whitewater. Ironically, the chickens are coming home to roost and people are starting to know the truth. The Bill Clinton that they elected is a fraud. And Americans are starting to wake up and wisen up to understand. 5:30 p.m. JR and Ken McDonald are having dinner at the Crockett House. Honestly, JR, I don't understand why you don't just ditch Brad. Believe me, I'm very close to, JR said. I don't like him getting into my business. I've already gotten slammed by Dr. Ken Rogers today. I didn't need any more of him. Okay then. You just hang in there. 6 p.m. 5:30, 6 p.m. JR is going to the Cheesecake Toastmasters meeting that night. Jennifer Bowers and he talked for a few minutes before the meeting. I want you to know I understand how you feel about Brad. One of my sorority friends says that in economics classes he gives the girls dirty looks. He's no good for you, JR. Stick to your friends that are closer to you. All right, Jennifer, I understand. 6 p.m. The Cheesecake Toastmasters theme meeting begins with a theme of versatility. It is a wonderful meeting, and JR is totally enjoying himself, especially listening to Alan J. Laird's speech about goals. Alan had studied in the summer of 1992 and 1993 at Missouri State University on the subject of personal development. On the morning of the 23rd of January, 3:30 a.m., Jim wakes up and gets ready to go downstairs to read, and to go into the main lounge of the mansion to read the Wall Street Journal. 4 p.m. Central. JR wakes up and puts on his headphones and listens to the Blake Carter Minute. It is pretty obvious that the Clinton administration is in knee-deep. And wait, there's the announcement. A famous musician who has done some songs over decades has passed on. His song "I Can Dream About You" was the love song between me and my ex-wife Amanda. But I have to say this: he will be sorely missed. 5 a.m. Eastern. Jim is swimming with Scotty Underwood in the mansion indoor swimming pool. His workout for today is the 300 Australian crawl. 5 a.m. Central. Jim is at swim practice at the Sibley with Bill Holden and Brent Clark. "Hey, welcome back to the team," Brent said. "We're having a swim meet Saturday at Southern Methodist University. Your parents and grandma have already talked to the coach. Your friend Ken's coming down this weekend, and the coach has agreed to let Ken fly with us." "Awesome," Gerald said. "I've also been hearing about Brad," Bill Holden said. "I'll tell you something, he's no good. Stay with your swimming friends." "8 a.m. Central. No, 6:30 a.m. Central. JR is having breakfast at the Spirit Club. Breakfast is waffles with eggs and sausage. An awesome breakfast." 8 a.m. Central. JR is in speech class where Professor Marlene Diedrich is talking about advanced speech writing. He had a presentation on such matters in 1 week. 11 a.m. Central. 11 a.m. Eastern. At the same time that JR is in Spanish class, Jim is at the Small Business Administration working with his writing staff to draft a press release for Monday's press briefing. 3 p.m. Eastern. Jim is still at the Small Business Administration working on a few things, but he decides to go ahead and take the day off early to avoid running into Erskine Bowles. 3 p.m. Central. JR is in his room studying a while. He had listened to the Andrew House show, and his cell phone rings again. It's Jennifer Bowers. "Do you want to go out tonight?" "Sure, sounds great," JR said. "Let's go to Skyview." "That sounds wonderful," JR said. "I'll pick you up at 6, Jennifer says. 5 p.m. Central. JR is listening to the Brent Carter show as he talks about the potential resignation of Harry Blackmun as Associate Justice of the Supreme Court and a potential nominee that Bill Clinton had in mind. 6 p.m. JR and Jennifer go to eat at Skyview Restaurant, where JR gets some chicken fried steak. They sit and they talk. 9 p.m. JR is sitting in his room and turns on the radio to hear some more of the Blake Carter show. I hope you enjoy the J.R. Hendrick Texan Night. If you like what you hear, please subscribe and become a part of receiving this story. This is J.R. Hendrick saying, take care, and next time, be ready for the rest of the story.